John here. It's about time I gave you guys an update on my net worth. That's just the value of all the things I own minus the amount of money that I owe in debt. I'm sharing this with you because one of the purposes of this channel is to show you how I'm going from debt to millionaire by making money from my tech startup, from YouTube, and from investing. To show that making money for most people takes a long period of time after a sustained amount of persistent hard work, and that for most people, becoming a millionaire doesn't just happen overnight. I'm going to update you on how much debt I have now, the value of my assets, including things like my stock portfolio, and at the end of the video, my overall net worth as we come towards the end of 2021. In my last net worth update video, I was at about minus $100,000. In the last month, my net worth has increased multiple tens of thousands of dollars upwards, a healthy move in the right direction because I sold my short-term rentals business. I have two large loans at the moment, my student loan and a family loan. The smaller of the two is the family loan, a loan from my parents. They helped me out by loaning some money for my living costs when I was starting out my first business. I currently owe them $26,000 for that loan. Not a small amount by any stretch, but it's the smaller of the two debts that I have. The last time I did a net worth update video, I actually had another loan in my list of debts which I'd taken out to help me start the short-term rentals business. I had about $20,000 left still to repay towards that loan, but after selling my business last month, where my cut of the money from the sale was $27,000, I was able to pay off that $20,000 remaining balance on the debt, which is great. When I got that $27,000 from selling the business, my parents very nicely said that I should prioritize paying off the $20,000 loan that I still had outstanding because it had a 6% interest rate, so it was costing me interest for the amount of time that I didn't have that balance paid off. So they said just pay off that $20,000 first and then give us the remaining amount towards the money that you owe us. They're being really cool about when I pay it back to them. You're probably wondering why I decided to sell the short-term rentals business if it was in fact a profitable business and I'm still in debt. I sold it for a few reasons. The main one was so that I can focus 100% on this YouTube channel and on my tech startup. Both of these ventures have the potential to make a significant amount of money. Tech companies can grow to enormous valuations in the hundreds of billions and even past $1 trillion. You don't need me to tell you that. And YouTube income can scale up to millions or even tens of millions per year because there's very little friction to growing a larger audience. But with the short-term rentals business, there's a much lower ceiling on scaling up that business model. One of the largest short-term rental companies in the world, called Sonder, has about 5,000 apartments across the world. The largest tech companies in the world make hundreds of billions of dollars per year in revenue, but Sonder, one of the biggest in the short-term rentals game, only has 5,000 apartments. That just shows that the model isn't very scalable. Entirely digital offerings like software and YouTube videos can be duplicated and distributed for free as many times as you like, but for every short-term rentals property that you set up, you need time and money to get it set up, and then you need someone to manage each and every one of them directly. With my very small short-term rentals business that I've just sold, I was having to spend 2 hours a day managing my housekeepers and communicating with guests, answering their questions, taking the bookings, and I had to be available to take a phone call 24/7. I could never really have proper time off because a guest could call at any time saying maybe they've arrived at the property and they can't figure out how to get in and they need me to tell them. The business was just taking up a lot of my time, and I also couldn't justify to hire someone to take on the tasks that I was doing each day because we didn't have enough properties to generate enough revenue to justify paying someone else. So while it was a somewhat profitable business, I've decided to spend all my time on other ventures that I enjoy more and that are more scalable. Moving on to the larger of my two debts, my UK student loan. My student debt currently stands at $62,000, which I have after getting a computer science bachelor's degree. For those of you more familiar with the student loan system in the US, it's quite different in the UK. For one thing, there's a cap on tuition costs. Anywhere in the UK, universities can charge up to $16,000 a year for tuition. I don't believe that any US university has a cap on how much it can charge for tuition, so prices have got a bit ridiculous. I still think that in the UK, $16,000 a year is ridiculous for tuition, but at least it's got a cap. In the UK, we also have a standardized way of repaying those student loans, which the US doesn't have. In the UK, repaying student loans is just like having another income tax. I have to repay 9% of my income pre-tax, and that 9% of my income that I have to pay is only taken from my income above a threshold of $37,000. So when I'm earning less than $37,000 a year, I don't have to pay anything per month towards repaying that student loan. And the best part of the UK student loan system is that if you haven't fully repaid the debt after 30 years have passed from when you took out the debt, the whole thing is just cancelled. That's great for young students who go on to have a low income for their entire working life, and then when they come to retire, they're not going to have that debt hanging over their heads. Because that debt gets cancelled after 30 years if you haven't paid it off yet, some people don't include it in their net worths as debt, but I do include it in my net worth because I am planning on earning enough money where I'll have to pay the entire thing off before 30 years is up. it's a debt that I'm going to have to repay, it goes in the net worth. So with that student debt and the money that I still owe my parents, my total debt stands at $88,000. Moving on from what I owe, here's what I own. So my two most significant assets are my car and my stock portfolio. I could sell my car today for $9,000 to one of those companies that buys any car instantly for cash. I could get $2,000 or $3,000 more if I sold it privately, but if I needed the money today, I could sell it for $9,000. And my stock portfolio, coincidentally, is also worth about $9,000 at the moment. I did a video recently looking at my stock portfolio in detail, so go check that out if you're interested in what I'm investing into. There's a link down in the description. That brings my total assets to $18,000. And now, the number that we've all been waiting for, my net worth as we approach the end of 2021 is $70,000. That's up a significant $30,000 from the last net worth update video. If you're not tracking your net worth at the moment, hopefully this video has inspired you to start. It is the best way to see your financial progress rather than just looking at, say, your debts or just looking at your savings. Thanks for watching to the end of the video. This is Debt to Millionaire. Subscribe.